Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to give my view on very functional literacy and why this is important for women to get education. So definitely it's very pertaining topic, and this is what I feel that after listening to Professor Shikha, this is not like other webinar which is simply talking about the some issues and some concerns, and no one is actually talking about any practicality and things which I particularly missing in a way. So Professor Shikha, it was really delightful to listen from you, ma'am. I particularly thanks to all the tweet team, particularly Ms. Farha, coordinator, Ms. Shaista Rafat, General Secretary, KV Rabia, Padma Shri Awardee, social activist, Kerala Literacy Movement. I wish I could listen from her, but she's not here. Professor Shikha Kapoor, DSE, Chodi Nibi, Jamia Millia Islami, New Delhi now. And President Ms. Rahmatun Nissa, Chairperson, Ms. Huda, and all the team of the tweet. So it's actually very difficult for me to talk things on the functional literacy after listening from Professor Shikha, because she has given very, very comprehensive information and talking about that whole education, literacy, and all. So, but I'm trying my best to participate in this webinar. So, as we know that this year we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and Tweet has started a year-long, very impressive campaign, Freedom from Illiteracy, Each One Will Teach 10, focusing on providing functional literacy to adult women in need, as independence from illiteracy has been India's vision for a long time. So for sure, literacy is one of the most essential indicators of the quality of a country's human capital. And we have a good and large population. Actually the world is looking to us because of our youth, because of, adults. We have a large youth population, but if they are not literate, so that is somehow is like we are lagging behind. So we need to capitalize them by giving good literacy, functional literacy and all. And we know that literacy is a key to making our world, our beautiful nation, a sustainable, peaceful, and financially secure. Definitely, if our large population is not literate and not able to enjoy the fruits of Azadi, so for me, like this Mahotsav is meaningless, because a good chunk of the population, like around 313 million people are illiterate in India, still illiterate. So they could not understand, they could not participate in any political things, any such, they cannot, actually attain and accessible to such functional aspect. So my point is that along with the state responsibility, it is also the individual social responsibility, that is ISR. And we know about the CSR, we are so much talking about the CSR, but it's a time when we have to talk about the individual social responsibility, that is ISR, to bring those women from arena of illiteracy to a literate world, by giving our own bit as a project of we ask to all of us, each one and teach 10. That's a wonderful actually slogan, and not only slogan, as a functional and pragmatic thing. So if, as we know that we are, all of the world is moving towards to attain the goal of the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. So among them, as the education has been scored and been placed in a sustainable development, you could say that's an umbrella aspect in the sustainability, because through education you can achieve a lot of the other aspects, so that you can eradicate poverty and decrease migration, so on and so forth. So overall, what I feel that education is prime, important, fundamental aspect in the Sustainable Development Goal that has to be achieved by 2030. So as the goal 4 is talking about that, ensure inclusive and equitable quality of education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. And within that is DG goal 4, target 4.6, talking about ensuring that all youth and substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy. And that 4.6.1, ma'am, this is particularly for tweet, this is talking about 4.6.1 of Sustainable Development Goal 4, 4.6.1, particularly talking about the proficiency in functional literacy. And Professor Shikha has already given a very nice statement that literacy should be translated into functionality. That is what maybe the target of the sustainable goal. Now the question arises, why it is important to give education to women? Why this particular sex and gender? So every society and every religion believing in importance of education, but they have given less priority to the women education. So that is around the 50% of our population. So if we realize educating women is more important because she reared the new generation. So as like to give education to a girl, it's like giving education to generations. So a well-educated woman provides the skills, knowledge, and self-assurance necessary to be a better mother, a worker, and a good citizen. A well-educated woman will also be a more productive in all sense. We know that there are several benefits of educating the girl, as the topic which has been assigned to me today only. So I have seen that. So financial security, definitely. The women who are educated, even not educated, functional literate, what we are talking about, because it's not easy. The women who are already illiterate, they actually lose the hope to get the education. So we are not concerning about giving them degree or certificate, but this, for most important thing is to giving the the functional literacy, and that is more practical in a sense. So we also have to look into the political. After getting the education, women could participate in political arena. So across the globe, women are underrepresented as voters and restricted from political involvement. Maybe for many reasons. One is the definitely lack of education and of unawareness and inaccessibility and patriarchy. So confident. After getting education, women became more confident, became self-sufficient. Income potential has been enhanced and increased because education also empowers a woman's wallet by boosting her earning capabilities. And for moving ahead, freedom of expression. An educated woman is politically more active, thriving GDP in a larger scale. Gross domestic product also soars when both girls and boys are being offered educational opportunity. When 10% more women attend school, GDP increased by 3% on an average. Equality in society. This is, this is very important, particularly what I feel that's about the socialization, desocialization, and resocialization, because discrimination usually seen that always begin at home. When boy goes to school and his sister remain home, if it has happened. So this gives the seeds of biases in the boy's head. He believes he is a superior simply because he's a boy, and he has no rationale for this belief actually. But he is actually socialized with this particular, you have seen this. When women participate in education by attending schools and colleges with males, the boys are more aware of their educational rights about their counterpart. I mean, he became more aware that women should get education. And this is like education is also a right for the women and are less likely to acquire a superiority complex. So this is what we need to desocialize the society and then re-socialize with the new aspect of the cultural aspect. Personal development, she became more valuable, personal productivity, self-assured. As my specialization on women's health, as she's already talking about that, as my specialization in women's health, I must say that educated girls decrease maternal death, increase in fact survival. There are a lot of studies, particularly NFHS first, second, and third all National Family Health Survey shows that education is directly related or directly proportionate to the better education. So if education is directly proportionate to better health outcomes overall in the ANC, antenatal care, in the postnatal care, institutionalized delivery, better she's more concerned about the vaccination and all. If she's educated, she go with the safe sex. I must mention here the World Bank says that a girl who complete primary school is 3 times less likely to contract with the HIV. With these statistics in mind, the World Bank calls education a window of hope in preventing the spread of AIDS. So that is again a very hidden aspect of our society, which is parallel is going on. So if we educate the girl, she could save herself from getting AIDS. Small family norms. This is another very important concern of all over the globe, especially particularly the countries like India, where the population is increasing. So that is not productive population. So we have to make our population more productive. That is of our concern. So small family norm, it has also been, actually witnessed and been many studies has shown this result that increased participation in school, reduce fertility rates over time, use of contraceptives both prevalent among the literate women, and again NFHS has first, second, and fourth has consequently sees that the increase in the education level has increased the use of contraception in the girls section in the women's. Later marriage, as suggested by the UNFP, United Nations Population Fund, In underdeveloped countries, 1 in every 3 girls is married before reaching the age of 18. It's something very remarkable. I mean, should think about. It's not only about the India, but all over the world. 1 in every 3 girls. So, in a region where girl receives 7 or more years of education, the wedding date is delayed for at least 4 years. And you know that if the one get married in a later years, so the span of fertility would reduce, and so it is actually added into the family planning as well. More safe. This is again very important. That the studies shows that illiterate and sometimes poor illiterate women are most vulnerable to human trafficking. So if she is literate, she could save. I mean, the more chances is for her to keep herself safe. So this is again very important concern for giving education to the girls and to the women. Finally, I would say that literacy is a basic requirement of life, work, and progress. Literacy makes us safer, able to citizens and critically observe the reality. Only functionally literate individual can be critical. I just had given a brief about the factors of low literacy among the women, because these are the factors on which we can work and combat with these factors and overcome this problem and can achieve the target. So one is definitely is about the patriarchy. That that India is a male-dominated society, and people think that educating girls is of no use because they are going to get married. So therefore, they keep their daughters away from getting education and all. So again, this is an aspect of desocialization, resocialization, or sensitization. We can use the number of the tools and techniques of SBCC, behavior change communication and all. Poverty is one reason. Perception and behavior across the class and religion, that education is usually believed as the means of getting jobs. So here I give one example. During my field work in a village, we came to know that in that villages continuously literacy rate was dropping. So we visited that village. So a very interesting thing came out from there कि वहाँ पर जो लोग educated थे, they said that they are not getting job. So what is the point to give education if they have to do the same work as others? So this demotivational factor is one of the reason behind of people to get away from the education, especially to the girls. But that need to energize them by giving them positive examples and outcome. We work with them on those areas actually. उस village में हम लोगों ने बहुत काम किया था just to make them motivated towards education and literacy and all. Another very common attitudinal problem, ma'am, that wife should be less educated than husband. ये बड़ी बात है कि ज्यादा पढ़ लेगी तो रिश्ता ढूंढना मुश्किल हो जाएगा क्योंकि उससे उसका जोड़ नहीं मिल पाएगा. This is another very common notion. So that is also one of the reason, not of the definitely of education, but illiteracy, but of dropouts or less education among the women. Eve teasing, I have to point out here, some of the point I've actually skipped because that have already been discussed by Professor Shikha now. So I just have to come up with some other points like eve teasing. An insecure environment is one of the reason of dropout, not of the lack of education, all, but what I feel is the dropouts among the girls. Eve teasing and insecure environment, we know that somehow in the rural areas, so communal insecurity is so develop over you. Even if I give my own example, when I decided to give my अपनी बेटी के जब admission किया, I decided, and I just enlisted all the schools here. So my husband refused to give her admission in further schools. कि अगर कुछ होता है तो it's very difficult to get her back. So it's better to be in around. So is this ghettoism is again it's difficult somehow for the giving education or better education to the girl maybe. So if that situation is with me, you can imagine what is happening around those from the middle and lower middle and classes. Early marriage is a reason for the dropout, that's we all know. So overall, I would say that social discriminations, girls are always socially and economically discriminated in general. And she has been actually, girls believe that girls are meant for a household. So to train them in priority. What I feel that this house course is very important. I don't deny on that. It's very important, but that's equally for the boys as well. Boys also learn this house course. So there should not be so much demarcation between the boys and the girls. Later on, they would have to learn what they have to do. जो भी पसंद आएगा वो करेंगे. But since childhood, this demarcation is not at all good. So So there is a lot of issues, lots of concern of low education, low literacy. So and then it's very important to find out the solution on that. How can we combat with that? So as the ma'am has actually talking about the survey, it's particularly very important. Practically, it's very important to do the survey, and you have to do the need survey, need assessment. कि जरूरत क्या है, and you have to ask them what they actually want. So the need assessment is very important. Another very important thing which I feel that sensitization and motivate them. We have to make the society in general and to the women particularly aware and sensitized towards the importance of education. If not education, at least towards functional literacy. Even I do believe that functional literacy is more pragmatic and fulfill the purpose. As the latest data says that India's 2021, India's adult literacy rate is 74.04 and male literacy is 82.14 somewhere. And female literacy is, the gap is so high. Even ma'am has said that since then, after the independence, the gap has reduced. Definitely the gap has reduced. More and more girls are, getting education. That's true. But still, बहुत रास्ता भी हमें और cover करना है. Still, India is having 313 million illiterate people who cannot write even their name, which is a matter of great concern. And when we taken this statistic from the religious perspective, among all religious communities, Muslims are the most illiterate community, even worse than the SCs, STs. So if we taken these two data together, illiteracy among the women and illiteracy among the Muslims, so we can draw, and in conclusion, we come on conclusion that Muslim women are the most disadvantaged and underserved population who need some extra and most exclusive intervention. As the idea of our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, has said that we have to start from those who stand in the last. Moving ahead, another suggestion of mine is to, if you have to, if you want to work with the Muslim community, so as one of the very renowned professor of test at Institute of Social Sciences, Rani Banerjee, she has suggested a religious approach. So if you have to work with the Muslim community, because this is a general notion about Islam that it is not promoting education, very general notion. But in contrary to that, because we are not knowing people, so we are not aware what is written in the Quran and Hadith. So but few things that we need to promote in general, बहुत बड़े level पर we have to make it make people aware, especially the Muslim, that in the Quran Allah raises the honor of the person who is among us who seek knowledge. Means Allah ने बहुत easily demarcate किया है that Allah raises the honor of the person among us who seek knowledge. So there is always the knowledgeable person is higher than those who are not having the knowledge. And two very important hadiths of our Prophet, peace be upon him, that seeking knowledge is obligatory to every Muslim. So here it is about the Muslim, not about the male, not about the man. It's about the Muslim. So we as a women, we are also Muslim. So he is particularly targeting that every seeking knowledge is obligatory. So when it's obligatory, for no ways. It's that every Muslim has to get the education. That's for sure. And another very important hadith regarding this education is that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said once that acquire knowledge, if you must go to China, for it you must go. And here China is definitely symbolically means to get education, you have to travel, So my point is that those who disapprove of women's education speak not from religious perspective, but a somewhat limited cultural view and then personal view, which has been actually transmitted from generation to generation. So this is very important for being Muslim. It's obligatory for every to get education. And then this point is already given by Professor Shika, that giving target to the literate people. This is very important. That is about the individual social responsibility, ISR. We talk a lot. We have organized the lectures. We have, courses are there on the CSR, corporate social responsibility. But we literally very less talking about the individual social responsibility. I do remember my childhood that my mother used to teach the women or young girls who prepared to getting married, especially particularly, to read and write, and the prime motive of them was to learn and to write a letter. And writing the letter was the final degree for them. It is what she used to teach the women and the girl around living around the mohalla and the neighborhood. So, and this is very interesting. I still remember ki batana zaruri hai ki a few lines. I still remember that she batati thi ki ye likh lo, acha ye batao, later check karti thi. So final degree for those girls was to write the letter. That is somehow very, functional aspect of literacy. Another one suggestion of mine is that one should go with the organization should go with the participatory development communication. And ma'am, Shikha, you must be more expert on than Paul Ferrero's concept of participatory development communication and all. So BCC, behavior change communication, or social behavior change communication, participatory development communication is very important. That's why we have to first to ask them what they actually want. I particularly come with one of the tools, as like I'm the trainer of this by PRAPLA technique. So I just come I come with only one tool that is about the dream analysis that I have already applied in one of the project with the special child labor schools. So dream analysis, we can start with the women, ask to them, you just close your eyes. Imagine after getting this kind of a small education or skill, where you see yourself, and just give 10 minutes. It's a very soothing thing. And then given a page and paper, just draw whatever you can draw, even a line, whatever and then just to try to analyze. And very interesting things come out actually from those this dream analysis. This particularly, I particularly feel, and I applied this many a time, and it actually works. And edutainment, that is education along with that entertainment. हमें अगर बताया जाए कि अकबर ने ये किया था और जोधाबाई ने ये किया था, we actually don't actually love to read all those usually, but we see that Akbar, Birbal, and Jodha Akbar and Mughal-e-Azam, we develop, and that is sustainability and retention of those whole histories there somewhere in our mind, because that is come with the entertainment somehow somewhere, and there's definitely is because of the हम देख रहे हैं उसको खुशी में अच्छे माहौल में देख रहे हैं. Education is somehow is very difficult situation, or teacher or classroom setting. So it's better to teach those women who are still not getting education, and they are ready and they are actually wants to learn. So go with a more aspect of edutainment, means module of the training which is it just holds education is center, but wrapped or covered with some entertainment notes. That's what my another suggestion. And definitely your whole work is on the functional literacy, as SDGs has already talked about. So this is definitely one of the suggestion, and your people are already working on this. So there's no point to talk about this whole on the functional literacy. Ma'am has already given very nice explanation on this all functional literacy, that how it is important, and functional literacy refers to a special set of practical skills need to read and write and all. But within the functional literacy, what we can add further is to religious literacy. We can add the financial literacy, how they can open their accounts and all. Under this financial literacy, I must mention here, while I was working with one organization in Jharkhand, working for the microfinance SHGs. So there, I remember the SHGs group were not literate. Educated, they were not literate. So in few SHGs, and the majority of the SHGs, few were one or two women were literate, they can write the name and all. Majority of the SHGs, they hire some young boys from their areas, from their villages, to manage their financial matters and write the register and all. And for that, they pay for that. So we started, or organization Pradhan was started giving them this basic training. कि उनको फिर chart दिया गया था, बस वो circle कर लें, so that कि कितना पैसा उन्होंने जमा किया. So they just try to draft it then how to handle this with these women who are illiterate. But again, for most important thing, for the most sustainable thing is to giving them this literacy, this financial literacy, so that they could come up with this issue of that is very important. क्योंकि financial aspect होता है SAGs का, बहुत सारे aspect होते हैं. There women need to literate. And then technological literacy is the ability to use computers, not computers, but smartphones. Nowadays, it's somehow it's available. But if it is not, if she is aware about this using smartphone and all, she can be benefited by the government policies and programs. There's a lot of the policies and programs are by the government, but because there's a lag, there's a gap between the government policies and then जिनको चाहिए. So this gap has to be filled by giving them better, and this can be done through the technological literacy. Legal literacy, they must be aware about their legal rights. Domestic abuse is wrong, because many believe that okay, domestic abuse में कोई issue नहीं है, मेरा husband काम करके आता है, मुझे मार दिया तो क्या हुआ. So these are the things which is very important that women should know about. Civic literacy, health literacy is again that on that we have discussed a lot. Skill development is important. FLE, family life education, is important. Functional literacy, and finally, I'm just coming up now, closing my topic. So, in totality, I must say that functional literacy actually makes functional society, and functional literacy that prevents society from becoming dysfunctional. Now, I would like to conclude that sustainability and progress of all regions depend on the success of women across the globe. As finally, I would say that as President Obama said while addressing the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, the future must not belong to those who bully women. It must be shaped by girls who go to school and those who stand for the world where our daughters can live their dream just like our sons. Thank you so much for giving this platform to talk about very pertaining issue and concern, which is important concern for all of us. And this is like, I particularly congratulate to all the team of Tweet who are doing very fabulous work. And this is very, and you have come with a very practical answer. That particular I really love and really like. Thank you so much for patience listening to me. Thank you so much.